All right, so today we are talking about grip strength, and how to get better at not slipping off of the pole. So first, let me just say that in the beginning, feeling slippery is totally normal. Things that can make you feel like sweaty are going to be physical exercise and then nerves, and pole is a really great vehicle to combine both of those things because you're working so hard. But also when you're trying new things, especially if it's something where you're lifting your weight off of the ground and maybe you think that there is potential to fall or hurt yourself, you're gonna be nervous about that also. So it's the body's natural response. So just know that at first it's normal. Like if you take a class and you feel slippery and you still want to do it, don't feel discouraged. It can take a varying amount of time for that unbearable slipperiness feeling to go away. That being said, if you do want to kind of expedite the process of feeling less slippery, then my number one tip would be to strengthen your grip. So for this, there are a few things you can do. The way that I help beginning students condition this is via simple exercises where usually you're lifting part of your weight off of the floor, but not all of your weight. And for these, I would say don't use grip aid, just focus on gripping the pole as tightly as you can. And while hand grip is sort of what we think of, I think when we say grip, there's other kinds of grip that also become essential, especially as you do inverted tricks. And most of those you can practice right side up from the floor as well. So just keep that in mind. Again, number one, just practice that grip strength from the floor, probably not lifting your full weight off of the ground. The next thing you can do to strengthen your grip, and this is just hand grip, is get a little tool like this. This is, I do not know what it's called. It looks like a wrench kind of. I don't know tools, I hope that's the right tool. But you just squeeze it and you can do reps. And I use this every single time I'm seriously practicing for myself. So sometimes, if I'm teaching a beginning class, I won't necessarily use this because I'm so comfortable with those things now. But if I'm doing a harder combo, or if I'm preparing for a competition or performance, I always use this in my warm-up. What's cool about these is you can kind of adjust how much you want the resistance to be. So good little tool for strengthening grip. The other thing, if you don't have that, if you don't have access to a pole, if you have access to a gym in your apartment, or you could get a pull-up bar for your apartment or home, you can just hang. And you can time yourself and try to increase that time over weeks, months, and that will also help strengthen the grip. And now let's talk about grip aid. So the first thing I want to clarify is that I do use some grip aid. I think some grip aid is okay. I've just talked about in other videos not relying on it. Especially at the beginning level, you really don't need it if you're not bringing your weight off of the ground. And I think the more you learn to rely on it early on, the more you kind of tend to use it as you develop in your pole journey. And it can get to a point where you just have so much on that it can damage your skin, it can damage the pole. And then also if you're competing or performing and you're sharing poles with other people, it can be kind of annoying if someone's bathed in ITAC and it's so hard to clean off the pole sometimes. And the next performer gets on and there's still residue, and it can make it, unfavorable for them because different grips work with different types of skin differently. So that being said, I still do use some grip aid, and I'll go ahead and talk about the ones that I like and the ones that friends like, and kind of what my body is or what my skin is like and what their skin is like. So first, and I'm just gonna go in order of my favorites, dry hands. This is number one for me. This is a holy grail. This was not invented for pole. It was actually invented for golf, but it works really well. And you really don't need a lot. This bottle, if you're using it by yourself and you're practicing a few times a week, should last you months. I would say half a year for me usually, if not more. You use such a small amount. I just use it on the palms. If you're feeling slippery, it's great. Next one that I use pretty often is going to be ITAC. And this stuff is pretty cheap online. This, I believe, was invented for pole. Yes, it says extra strength pole fitness grip. And it's beeswax based. Now I have really dry skin, so like my elbow pits, my knee pits, my thighs, they get so dry, especially if it's cold at all. And for me, cold is below 70 degrees, so it's cold pretty often for me. It just makes you kind of like tacky and sticky, and so I'll use it on my elbow pits, knee pit grips pretty often. The next one I have is Firm Grip, and this one I actually do not recommend because it is so sticky, and it leaves just like the worst residue on the pole, and it's hard to get off even if you scrub in the shower. The few instances where I'd say like this is okay is if you have a photo shoot, you have a performance. Definitely not for static pole, but like for spin pole maybe, you'll just stick. You'll be like when you lick a frozen pole outside in the winter and your tongue gets stuck, that'll be your whole body to the pole if you use this. So just keep that in mind. The next one I have is this one called Tight Grip. I actually do not like this one either. However, I have a friend who is very sweaty and she swears by this. She loves it. She uses it like on her full body. So if you are super sweaty, maybe consider this one. The few that I don't have with me, but that do get honorable mentions, one is Monkey Hands. This is another one, very sticky, but like more so tacky. So it's not as crazy as Firm Grip. I think it's a little bit stickier than like iTac. Monkey Hands, pretty good. They have a lot of different like strengths of that too. I think it's a little bit more expensive, but pretty good option. And then the last one, if you are very dry, is Dew Point. And I used to buy this, but I just feel like iTac worked better for me. It's kind of nice. It doesn't leave as much of a residue. iTac can be a little like residue-y. And yeah, those are the ones I've tried. I know there's a ton out there and it feels like there's new ones all the time. So definitely experiment, see what works well with your skin type. But again, for me, I'm someone who is pretty dry. My hands definitely do sweat, especially if I'm like nervous and trying something new and scary. So again, I use dry hands on the hands and then iTac for my body. So that is everything I have to say about grip and grip aids. I know it's really frustrating when you're trying things and you just feel like you're slipping down. The other thing I would say is if available to you, consider trying different finishes on poles. So like a lot of people find brass or silicone easier than like chrome. That being said, if you are like competing or performing, usually standard is going to be chrome, so not a bad idea to get used to those. The more you practice, the easier it will get. I promise, being slippery is very frustrating, but with the right strengthening, with the right grip aid, you can overcome it. And then one other tip I would say is just make sure you're using like alcohol on the pole to, wipe it down in between goes, especially if it's hot and sweaty and all that. If you have other hot takes on grip or grip strength or other grip aids that you really like or would really recommend, I would love to know. So please feel free to comment those down below. And if you have any other questions on anything I said today or any kind of like grip related questions or comments, please also let me know. Thanks for watching. Happy gripping and have a lovely rest of your day.